This spot, very often, no one is in this area, and therefore, very often it is unlooted, and therefore, it is the best spot in the game to regain. It's such a big area, too, that, like, even if it's been looted, not the whole thing. And also, it's really good for regaining, because if someone is in there, even though you don't have any gear or whatever, guess what else the has?
A lot of
Activision devs do not play their own game.
3,000 devs can't figure out how to add a reconnect feature to a AAA title, I guess. I don't know.
Because Infinity Ward doesn't tell their consumers anything.
Maybe that'll take some of the sweats away from Shoot House.
You can cope about that, for sure.
Thanks for tweeting, at least. Thanks for doing more than Infinity Ward has done. They just keep tweeting about the soccer bundles in the store.
Things that are bad. We've got a couple words. Why don't you kick it off, Tanner?
This is going to be a longer section than the first part you guys heard.
Change it, obviously, of course. We are live! Boys and girls, welcome back. Hope you didn't forget about us, too. The Dropshot of Call of Duty podcast, episode number 313. My name is Casey, also known as Razinon. And today, back from Zion National Park, I am joined by young Tanner. Hold
on, someone's at my door. God damn it. Just keep going.
Good timing, man. Yeah, I was told that Tanner went to Zion and he went with a bunch of Jeeps, and like Evel Knievel, they attempted to jump the canyon. I don't know why I said that or did it, but anyway, I was gonna ask Tanner how his trip was, but I guess he's busy. I don't know. Just his job or whatever. But anyway, welcome to the show. We will get back to that momentarily. So yeah, sorry we only did one episode this week. It was, in fact, on the schedule. So if you were confused that where's the podcast, join the fucking Discord, or follow us on Twitter, or subscribe to us on YouTube, all of which are free. And then join the Patreon, which is fucking not free.
No,
thanks.
No, never will be.
Nor will it ever be.
Imagine ringing my doorbell twice to drop off a little fucking piece of paper to invite me to Gospel Fest.
Oh, God.
Hey.
The little double ringer, too, huh? Wow. That's rude.
Jesus, man.
How was Zion, buddy?
That's cool. It wasn't Zion, it was Arizona. Why is my cam so bright? What the fuck's going on? Was it just not picking it up? I don't know what's going on. Nothing matters anymore. It was cool, yeah. It was dope. Pretty area. Middle of nowhere out by Yuma, Arizona. Shout out to Lowcat for living there. I'd want to not live there if I did, I'll say that. Just middle of nowhere. But yeah, it was cool. Dope trip, pretty area. Dude, you ever seen a bighorn sheep? I'm sure you haven't. They don't go outside.
Not in person.
You know what they do, right? Like they run on the side of mountains, basically.
Oh, are they one of those
ones?
It
was crazy. Yeah, we're doing this little like
undulates.
We were doing this little hike yesterday, this little Palm Canyon shit. And I hear this noise and I look up to my right. I'm not exaggerating. This cliff face is probably about that steep. I mean, it's almost straight up and down. Almost straight up and down. And they're just chugging along on the side of it. They're just running on it. Yeah. It is so crazy to see in person. Like it's
yeah.
I was getting nervous because there were like 3 or 4 babies in the pack. And I'm like, dude, those babies are going to fall and I'm going to see them fucking die. I mean, they would have fallen. It's probably 200-foot drop or something from where they were to the ground.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Crazy.
Yeah.
Cool seeing stuff like that, though.
Dude,
unfortunately, I didn't have my fully automatic GAT. I would have started shooting at them immediately.
Yeah. Just kidding. Down.
But yeah. Yeah, it's pretty cool. They're a pretty neat little animal.
Those are very cool. Yeah. I've watched many videos of those. There's a name for what type of animal that is. The cloved hoof animal or whatever. I don't know. Anyway, whatever. I've seen a lot of them, of those videos, and it looks like it's not possible, but they're not only are they doing it, but they're like fine. Like they're not stressed about it. They're just like,
no,
yep,
they're just, that's their life. That's normal to them.
It's fucking crazy, dude.
Yeah.
I believe I saw a video, and it was real, of the bighorn sheep or fucking goats or whatever that like chill on the Hoover Dam, which is like
That would make
almost
sense.
Completely vertical.
Yeah. Yep. That's
And
probably
they just
true.
Fucking mob around on it, which is so crazy.
Google it.
Yeah, I can't believe I can't imagine rather being the first guy to see that and then going back to the squad at the campfire or the tents or whatever the fuck and being like, you guys will never believe this fucking new animal I just saw. It was standing on a vertical cliff face.
Bighorn sheep on, I don't know what this is, Buffalo Bill Dam. You are right. They are just, it looks fake. It looks so
like
fake.
It's not real. Yeah.
Yeah. And it's like, they don't even like walk slow. They just sprint. I'm like, dude, how do they do that?
Yeah, it's weird.
Yeah.
It's very weird.
Shout out to animals.
Yeah, shout out to animals. I want to look more into that, like why they're able to do that. Something crazy about their feet is why they can do it, obviously.
Yeah.
Among other things, I'm sure. But anyways, welcome to the show. So yeah, today we are doing a podcast. We didn't do a news pod this week because Tanner was out of town. Not too much happened anyway, and we didn't expect too much to happen anyway, which was part of the reason I didn't even bother trying to do one, because a week after Season Reloaded change, there's not going to be any big fucking news, and spoiler alert, there wasn't. So anything we didn't cover this week that we would have covered, we will cover on our next episode, 314, if it's relevant, but I'm not sure it was much, if anything. There was like a polyatomic camo change. We'll probably mention that, but yeah, we'll get to it next week along with anything else that changes in the meantime. So what else was I gonna say?
I don't know, man. What else are you gonna say?
I don't remember, but I guess we'll just get into. Oh yeah, this is what else I was gonna say. If you joined the Patreon, if you donated, if you became a YouTube member, in the last week, we will give you your acknowledgments on, again, our next episode. So yeah. I didn't skip you on purpose. I didn't forget about you. We're just going to wait until next week. So there you go. So today what we're doing, in fact, is another episode on Ashika Island. And this is going to be a brainstorm. So we were trying to conceive of what type of episode we wanted to do this weekend, earlier this week before Tanner left. And we weren't really sure what we wanted to do. And we came to the conclusion that we should talk more about Ashika Island. The reason for that is that on Saturdays, as always, we either do like a Q&A type episode, or we go more in detail about some facet of the game. And that is often contingent on something new happening. So for example, Ranked Play came out, and then we did a Saturday episode on Ranked Play. New season comes out, we do kind of a review, first impressions of the new season. For this Saturday, it was too early for a Q&A. We didn't want to do that again. And not much new had come out, so we kind of had to think a little more. And Ashika Island was kind of the obvious choice, for the main reason for which, of course, being that this is what we've been playing the most of by far, because it is the most fun thing for us to play right now, relating to Call of Duty. It's
the only fun thing, yeah.
Yeah, I would argue that. I have been having a lot of fun. I continue to be having a lot of fun playing Ashika Island, and we have a lot more we can say about it, and will say about it in this episode. So what we are going to call this episode, I don't know if I'm literally going to name it this on YouTube. The algorithm wants what it wants. But this is going to be an Ashika Island brainstorm. And if you're a patron of this podcast, you will be familiar with that nomenclature. And what that means is, basically, we are going to give our kind of strats, opinions, thoughts on how to do well on the island. And then if it comes up, we're also going to ask kind of open-ended questions. So I don't know how much of that is going to be in this episode, but that's usually what brainstorms are. It's a combination of those two things. And for the latter, one example would be like, I remember back in Verdansk, we were trying to figure out what blue perks to run, because I think RPGs had just gotten nerfed super hard. And if you guys remember, very early Verdansk, there was an RPG meta for a couple of weeks, and it was very annoying. So everyone was running EOD, which is Bomb Squad, same thing. And then that got nerfed, so then no one was suffering explosions anymore. So then we were trying to figure out what other blue perks should we run. And we had a bunch of ideas, and we talked about them. But it wasn't like a dictation, like, oh, you guys should change to this blue perk, because we didn't know either. So instead what it was like, what blue perk do we think would be good? Let's try it. Let's talk about it. Let's see what sounds good. And then we'll try it later on. That's like the brainstorm element. We're not sure if something is going to be good. We want to talk about it, maybe come to some new ideas through talking about it, give you guys something to think about, give you guys something to give us feedback on. And that's where the brainstorm element comes in, which is a lot different than most public episodes we do, where if we're doing, all about Warzone, there's no brainstorm elements in that. That is like dictation, like, okay, you guys should do this, you should do that, you should do that. Those are like tried and true things. Brainstorm is a little different. It's a little more experimental, where we're all trying to figure it out together. So that is going to be the thrust of this episode. Although I have fewer questions and there are going to be fewer brainstorm elements than maybe normal, but there still will be some. So with that said, this is mostly about this is all about Ashika Island, because that's mostly what we've been playing. So there you go. So now, other than that, do we have any other announcements, Tanner?
No, I don't think so.
You don't think so? Okay.
A lot of Patreon apps coming out next week. They're going to have to come out.
Yeah, we're doing a lot of Patreon
3 of
apps.
them.
Yep.
3 of those suckers coming out, huh?
Make sure you like the stream, you fucking idiots. You fucking idiot pieces of shit.
Really?
Yeah.
All right. Cool, man.
Oh! Right. Today, Ashika Island. Brainstorm. So, we have structured this episode in a particular way. We're going to start by talking about early game strategy / where you should drop. We're going to move on to weapons, equipment, perks, and then kind of some miscellaneous thoughts and observations. So there you go. Now, one thing, hold on before I forget, actually. Sorry,
Going crazy on that keyboard, huh?
Yeah, I had another little thought. Could you hear that?
Oh yeah, all
hear
of
that
it,
thing
yeah.
barking? Yeah.
Oh yeah, buddy.
Barking. So we'll get into what I just typed in a moment here. Yeah. So those are the broad categories we're going to talk about today. So starting with the early game. Early game drop strategy. What have we been doing? What is good to do? So one thing, the reason this is maybe we're talking about, I think, is that like back in the day in Verdansk, there were eras and Caldera. There were eras where the strategy was like, well, there were some eras, mostly in Caldera actually, where the strategy was not even to try and buy a loadout. This has been true in Warzone 2 actually also, because you couldn't buy one. Where the strat was not to land and loot up as much money as you can to buy a loadout. The strat was to just wait for the first free loadout, because either it was prohibitively expensive, impossible to buy, or the free loadout dropped insanely early. And in those cases, the strat was not to like drop for loot so much as it was, or rather, the strat wasn't so much to drop for cash, it was to drop for like items and shit.
Yeah. Yeah, you would loot money to then go buy things, not loot cash to then, try to get a loadout.
Yeah, and I remember actually, I'm glad you said that. I remember I specifically remember saying at some point that you guys should be dropping to get cash to buy either like a muni or a self-res or a UAV. I remember that point being made because the first loadout drop was the free one. The community one was going to be your first loadout. On the island, however, that does not seem to be the case. The early drop strat we have been employing is drop somewhere, get money, buy a loadout. One question I have, which is my first brainstorm kind of spin here. One thing we have not been doing is contracts, because again, there have been times where the strat to get a bunch of money quickly was to like drop on a scav and do that right away. Particularly in early Verdansk, this is what we would do all the time. Look for a scavenger, get it, do it. You get the guaranteed satchel. This is before the satchel, actually, but you'd get a bunch of money and other equipment, whatever, ammo, and then buy a loadout with the money you got from doing the scav and looting along the way. And then at some point, that transitioned to just dropping at train station and looting it for $500,000 because there was an infinite amount of loot, and it didn't even matter doing the contract. And in fact, it was often safer doing this because you could avoid the many teams who would want to do the contract to kind of guarantee that income. But it wasn't necessary. So we eventually like made that switch back in Verdansk. On Ashika Island, what we've been doing is just dropping, looting for cash, and then buying a loadout that way. I have not considered doing a contract besides a bounty on Ashika Island ever. And I wonder if I should be, because sometimes it takes a while to get that cash for a loadout. What are your thoughts on this?
Yeah, I don't know. We've just never, pretty much since Warzone 2 dropped, we don't do a lot of contracts.
Yeah.
And I guess early on in Moz, it was because we would just get to a stronghold pretty much and do it that way, because there's no reason to do contracts when you could get all the money that way if that's the way you were playing. So I think we're just used to that, so we don't even think about doing it. We'll usually do is after we get loadout and start doing shit, if we're running by somewhere, like, oh, may as well grab this bounty. We don't like know where anyone's at and just get it for intel, essentially. Mm-hmm. You're not doing it for money. Whereas like used to actually pick up contracts to do them for cash. But I think we're just not in the habit of doing that. So they just all seem to take so long now too.
Yeah.
Since the whole game is just since like the whole game is just slower, it just, I don't know, it never seems worth it. I feel like I can just spend my time looting and then not even waste my time going around opening up safes or whatever. I don't know.
Yeah. I
don't think we need to be doing contracts now.
I tend to agree, but I might want to consider trying it a little more. I did, like yesterday, I was playing for a few hours on the island, and a couple times I did pick up a scav. I don't know what it's called now, safecracker. It's a scav. I'm calling that a scav now.
Oh yeah, of course.
I picked one up like 2 or 3 times. We ended up finishing only one. I think there's a tendency on the island for the boxes that you need, or the safes you need to crack, to be fairly far away from you. Not prohibitively far, but far enough to where, especially on the island, if I have to go to like a different POI to crack safes, like that's dangerous.
Yes.
Especially very, very early on. And it might also be taking you away from the buy station that you landed at that POI you landed on for the first place, you know? So it doesn't seem, I think I'm with you. I don't think it's worth it in general. I think there's enough cash, not like factory Verdansk levels of cash, but I mean, what has that, you know?
Well, you also just don't need money in Warzone 2 because still there's nothing at the buy stations worth buying.
I'm talking about getting a loadout, like early dropping, getting cash for loading.
Yeah, but I'm saying that's another reason why we don't do contracts is because we used to do contracts to buy other things.
Yeah,
that was just like one of the things is to get the bonus, to keep doing contracts, so we would just get so much money and buy unlimited UAVs, all sorts of stuff. But since you can't buy anything now, that also I think deters us from even doing contracts, because if we have the money to buy a loadout, usually when we're then going to the buy station to buy the loadout, we usually have an extra 4K or something to buy the one UAV in there, and then we'll buy it. Yeah. And that's the one UAV we'll get the entire game, unless we loot another one, you know?
Right.
So that's probably actually the biggest reason is you don't need money in Warzone 2.
Yeah. Oh, let me, okay. Yeah, that's a good point. That's a good point. I think you're probably right. And when there is more to buy on Ashika Island that's relevant than on Maz, because you don't have the same economy. In Al Mazrah, you have infinite money and you can buy whatever you want. But there are times on the island where I really want a muni and we like barely have enough, or maybe even don't have enough. So it is worth checking buy stations. I would argue more on the island than it is on Al Mazrah, actually.
Yeah, but then, because they're not going to have the stuff you need half the time.
To have enough money to get it, is my point. So
yeah,
just
exactly.
kind of backing up what you were saying, yeah. But yeah, the early drop strat is pretty standard. Drop somewhere, loot up cash for that loadie, and then you have your free loadout drop, the one you get on the island, as a backup loadout. And what's really nice about that too is, like, yesterday I was playing particularly poorly by and large, and I was getting fucking farmed. Yeah. And there was one game where I landed on the same free loadout drop fucking 3 times and got loadie off of it because we had bought a loadout. It stayed there because my other teammates didn't need to pick it up. So that was really nice. That's one benefit buying a loadout, your first loadout, grants you, is that it doesn't despawn the free loadout since no one's picking it up. So then if someone dies, they can come back and get the loadout, even though you've all gotten the first one.
Yeah.
So yeah, you do want to buy your first loadout for sure. But yeah, what else do you have to say on this topic, if anything?
That's pretty much it for that part.
Yeah. Okay. So next we need to talk about where we're dropping. So we have quickly found the 2 best drop spots. However, it is of course contingent on there being buy stations at them, which often there's a buy station at neither of these 2 points, which really pisses me off. But here are the drop spots. Okay. So number 1 is Promenade, Neo Promenade. This is of course this area to the east of Farms right here. It is towers. It is the 2 fucking buildings, apartments or whatever. Yeah, the 2 apartment buildings that are adjacent to each other. You can jump from one to the other. You have a very good view of everyone. It's a great spot. There's a pool. You can go in the pool, by the way, and there's a Duffy in there at the bottom in the deep end every time. Don't put duffel bags in your pool. But anyway, you can loot that. And then there's often a buy between the pool and the southern apartment. So this is a great drop spot if that buy is there, because you're guaranteed to get a loadout if you loot both of these buildings. Whether you're playing solos or quads, you're guaranteed to have enough money to buy 2 loadouts if you loot both of these buildings. It has a ton of loot. Now, it's often contested, but not always. And it's not super hot like Superstore or in Verdansk or something. It's just a solid drop spot if that buy is there. If that buy is not there, it is a tougher sell, because that usually means there's a buy in Farms, and Farms is always hot. So you might die rotating to the buy once you've looted up Promenade. So you got to be careful of that. But that's one very good drop spot. Side note, by the way, there are rappels to get to the roof, and rappels in this game, not just on the island, are fucking silent. So be very careful of people rappelling on you. And likewise, abuse the fact that they're silent. If someone's on a roof and their back is turned to you, to the rappel rather, you're guaranteed to get a free kill because they don't make any noise. So just be wary of the rappels.
That happened last time I played, which I guess before I left was Monday or Tuesday. Whoops. And we were fighting someone there. We were on the southern building, I guess it is. Is that the way it's rotated? It's the southern. Yeah. So we were on the southern building. It was kind of late game. We were rotating in. We hadn't landed there. But Jake like fucked some guy up and he was like, oh, like hit the zip. He won't hear you coming anyways. I'm like, yeah, that's true. So I come right up. Sure enough, he's not even looking at me. I get all the way up the zip, do the whole little animation off of it, and then you just shoot him in the back because he doesn't expect you coming up there at all. Yeah. So yeah, use it to your advantage for sure.
Yeah. Yeah. And then the second drop spot, which doesn't have a name. I don't even know what the building is supposed to be. I don't know what it is.
Is it like a museum? Maybe? I think it's a museum.
Maybe? Yeah.
Because it's got like some...
Oh yeah, I think it like is. That. It has some glass, like, little enclosures. Yeah, I think it might be a museum. I don't know what it is, but it doesn't have a name. But we have called it the drop spot. As in the drop shots spot to drop the drop spot. The drop spot 2.0.
Oh, it's the town hall.
Oh, okay.
That's what it is. Town hall.
The first drop spot was, of course, on Caldera, south of Airport, in that little cul-de-sac, little roundabout. That's the first drop
balloon,
spot.
The buy station, yeah.
Great drop spot. The second drop spot, of course, drop spot 2.0, is this building right here, to the east, northeast of Beach Club. It is this very long building. What's great about this building, counterintuitively, is that there is no loot on the roof of this building. Why is that good? It means very few people land on your roof, which is really nice. So if you land Promenade, there are items on the roof. So if you like land and start looting inside, people can be landing on your roof because they want the loot. That never happens at the drop spot 2.0 because there's nothing on the roof. So people just tend to ignore it. And it's not a POI. It's not a named location. So it's often you're going to loot it alone. And it has... The loot does, in fact, vary. Sometimes it's really good.
Considerably, yeah.
Sometimes there's not a lot. However, there is often a buy station that's nestled. It's fucking nestled on the east of this building. And that buy is just super safe to hit. Because to your left is the building. It's like on the building. And then to your right is a ridge. And there usually aren't people on that ridge. If there are, you can easily dive right back into the building. It's a very safe buy station. And once you throw your loadout right there, it's also very safe to access because, again, you have all that cover I just mentioned.
Yeah.
What's great about the drop spot 2.0 is that if that buy is not there, it's a very easy rotate to this little fish market north of Beach Club that has, again, a fuck ton of loot and is fairly easy and safe to get to, fight in, and take cover from the building to the east across the street.
Yep. Yeah.
So whether or not there's a buy there, you can land here and you'll get a loadout quickly. Because you can loot the building, and if the loot is dog shit, which it sometimes is, by the time you get to the buy in the fish market, you're good. You have all the money you need. This is a fantastic, always fine drop spot. The only time it's bad is if it's not in the first circle. So.
Yeah, and you have to rotate really far. Yes. Out of that whole little area north of Beach Club, so you have the town hall, which is the one we're talking about. To the west, there's the gas station. To the north of that, there's a little market, and then to the east of the market, there's that apartment building, which has the roof. There's the solar panels on it. There's the rappel up there. There's also a staircase up there. Out of that whole area, that is where people generally land, which is why the drop spot is safe. It's a bigger area to loot. Wouldn't say you necessarily always get as much loot as you do in that small apartment to the north, But it's an easier start, and you don't necessarily want to land and fight early. There's no reason to. If you can loot and get your loadout within a few minutes, why would we waste our time fighting, wasting plates, wasting ammo, someone getting downed, etc.? There's really no reason to when we can just land somewhere safe and get your loadout and then start fighting everyone. So yeah, that's the thing about the town hall building it can be hit or miss. There's a buy station there probably, I would say, like 75% of the time. It's pretty often there's a buy station there, and if not, if there's not one there, almost always there will be one then at the fish market. So
I've never had a game where there isn't a buy at either one, I don't think.
I think we had one, and that was one of the games that day. We're like, okay, I guess we're going towers because there's nothing. I think you actually made that joke. You're like, all right, well, I don't know what to do. I guess we just back out of this one because there was no buy there. Yeah. I think there was like one down south of Beach Club. But anyways, so if you loot that, don't get enough shit, or there's no buy station there, then you can just head into the gas station. The gas station usually has 2 or 3 chests in there. There's one of those C token machines in it, and then the market to the north has a lot of scatter loot, a lot of plates and stuff there too. That's a good little spot.
Yeah, that fish market
to
is
just get in general
chock full of loot, by the way.
Yeah,
every time.
Yep. Yeah. So yeah, between those 2 little, or I guess 3 areas, we usually go from the town hall. If we don't have enough to buy there, or there's no buy, then we go over, loot the gas station, hit the market, which is right above that, and then we buy, and you would always have enough money at that point. Yeah. So the drop spot itself, hit or miss with loot if you can get it in just that building, but there's always enough close enough that you can get a loadout early on.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah. So yeah, that's kind of the starting strat. Obviously, it's like any game of Warzone, because Warzone is Warzone, and the only unique thing about it is loadouts. The overarching goal will always be in Warzone to get your loadout as quickly as possible. So we're just describing what we think is the fastest way to do that. Yeah. And that's that. So yeah, those are the best drop spots. Any other places we drop, really?
I'll say one more thing. If we loot those areas we just talked about, if we didn't see anyone land to the apartment building to the east, often we will go and loot that. And the apartments buildings, so you go in the bottom floor, there's a rappel which takes you right up to the top floor. The top floor has, I believe, just 2 apartments you can enter, but for 2 rooms they are jammed full of loot. Each room usually has between 2 and I've seen as many as 4 chests in one of those little rooms. There's 2 right next to each other, then on the other side of the room another 2. A lot of loot, a lot of loose loot. I think that's a duffel bag in there, so that's a good place to get some extra loot as well after you get your loadout if no one has hit that yet, if you're not fighting anyone. It's a good place to go. And then you're on that roof, which that roof is a great spot.
Fantastic.
Because if the circle's like southeast side of the map, everyone from town center starts crossing the bridge there, or the water, or heading up towards castle, and they're all in the open, and you have a nasty head glitch spot. So I would say we don't ever hot drop at that building, but it's a good building to go and hold once you have your loadout. Yes. And then kind of start fighting from there.
Very true. Yeah. If the circle is south, like toward Beach Club, and that means, and you're on this roof with loadout, it's a killing field. Yeah. It's a fucking culling. Because you will see 3-4 teams coming from town center, trying to cross that bridge, trying to get down into the ravine. It's just a fucking slaughter. Yeah. Yeah. Which is really fun. And that's great. They'll never kill you from down here. 5 teams shooting at you on this roof, you'll never die. You just destroy them. Yeah, it's a great spot. Yeah, so that's fantastic.
But and then if you have to go north, what are spots we don't go to?
Real quick, if you have to go north from here, also, this building's high. You can parachute to wherever you want to go. Yeah, so, great point. Yeah. What did you say? Sorry.
What was the question you started asking? What are some other areas we don't go to or don't like? What did you say?
Some places we've attempted, and I think I've found lacking. Actually, I only have one real example here. 2. Number 1 is Suki Castle. It has a lot of loot, but it's too much. There are too many places that people can be, and there will always be other people around you.
Someone's always above you.
Yes, and you're always going to be confused. Are they on the roof? Are they 1 level above me? Are they 2 levels above me? Are they below me? And you're never going to get a team wipe here either, because there are so many different little sectors in a very small area because it's so tall.
Yeah.
So what's going to happen is you're going to kill a guy, and then his teammate's going to land on him, and his teammate's going to land on him, and then you're going to die, and then you're going to land on your teammates, and it's going to be two teams jerking each other off in the castle, not accomplishing anything, not getting loadout, not getting loot, not getting plates, and you're just wasting time getting like 1 or 2 kills at a time slowly. Because it's very hard to wipe a team here. There are too many levels. It's too vertical.
Yeah,
so you're
I don't like castle at all.
It's not a good spot to drop at all. I don't even like fighting here for that reason. Once the resurgence timer is done, then you can wipe a team here, obviously. But before that, I don't like fighting here at all for that reason. You're just going to waste your time constantly fighting, which can happen at prom too, by the way. But it happens less often at prom, but it can. It never happens at the Dropshot 2.0. It's open enough to where one team's getting wiped if they keep landing there, like pretty easily. So you're not going to waste nearly as much time at the Dropshot 2.0. And then another place that I don't like landing is farms.
No, and that's what we thought that'd be our favorite drop spot. And I think the reason we don't like it is because it's hot. And like we said, there's no reason to get in these fights early on with a pistol. It's not fun. I'd rather just get my loadout and fight people with real guns.
Yep.
So it's pretty much, there's nothing that wrong with the POI, I guess. There's a lot of loot there. It's flat. There's just simply too many people. Yeah.
It's a good POI. It's just
if
not
everyone hot drop castle, we'd
drop.
love it. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. It's a good POI. I really enjoy fighting there. It's just not a good place to drop because it's really hot. And also another thing about it, the buy stations at farms, every one is very unsafe. You will often start getting ripped when you're trying to buy shit here. Yeah. Because a lot of people use the buy stations there again because it's hot. And also there's just not like that much cover, and there are a lot of different angles people can hit you when you're at any of these buys. Whereas again, like this buy at the drop spot here, it's so enclosed that you're never getting like shot there. But the buys at farms are very unsafe. So even if you do manage to wipe a team or two even and get enough money for loadout, you will often get sprung upon while you're trying to buy, or like dropping money with your dumb fuck teammates whose UI doesn't work because there's a bug where you can't drop cash. A different engine, by the way. Have had that for 3 years now, but it's a different engine, by the way.
I got that last time we played. I couldn't drop.
You sure did. Yeah,
I had 16,000. I couldn't drop it.
New engine, new and improved engine, by the way. The buys aren't safe. I don't like dropping there. Again, I do really like fighting here, though. I think it's a very, very fun place and balanced place to do fights, but I want to have my loadout before I start doing that. So
it's fun late game fighting there too, and like the circle's getting small, jumping through from the roofs, jumping down. But even to regain, it's not good because everyone thinks to also land there to regain. I think because there's so many chests, and then there's a lot of resurgence chests because of that. But it's just everyone has that same idea, and people that landed there are still there fighting 10 minutes into the game. So there's just you only go there if you want to fight people. Pretty much, I wouldn't recommend it for getting a loadout or dropping early.
Yeah. So anyway. There you go. That's kind of how we start the match. PSA, Manscaped now has beard products and is going even further with their brand new Weed Whacker 2.0. Go ahead and tell the world the leaders in below the waist grooming are traveling north of your South Pole with their revolutionary grooming products. The new Weed Whacker 2.0 and their new beard line confirms they have all the best tools for your hygiene toolbox. Time for you to upgrade your game by going to manscaped.com and using our code DROPSHOT for 20% off and free shipping. Gentlemen, meet the Beard Hedger Pro Kit. It is the ultimate package that makes it easier than ever to craft your signature look. It all starts with the cordless electric beard hedger. It's tough on hair but smooth on the face, leading to single stroke efficiency that brings satisfaction one stroke at a time. It is waterproof, it's cordless, it's got a very cool rotary wheel that gives you 20 hair cutting lengths, all with only one guard. So no more messy drawers full of extra add-ons. It also comes with 4 dermatologist-tested formulations for your post-trim care. Those are the MANSCAPED Beard Shampoo and Conditioner, Beard Oil, and Beard Balm to moisturize, style, and shimmer that thang on your face. Plus, it's got 3 gifts: a beard brush, comb, and scissors. With a nice beard, you'd think you're probably perfectly groomed. You'd be wrong. Keep an eye out for those tough-to-trim ear and nose hairs. The brand new Weed Whacker 2.0 offers improved blades and skin-safe technology with a no-tugging guarantee. Now that you have your face looking great, you must try Manscaped's Performance Package 4.0 for the full body grooming experience. And good news, the Performance Package 4.0 now comes with the Weed Whacker 2.0 and all of the other below-the-waist grooming products Manscaped is known for. Get 20% off and free shipping with our code DROPSHOT at manscaped.com. Once again, 20% off and free shipping at manscaped.com. Make sure you use our code DROPSHOT. Always use the right tools for the job with Manscaped. Now let's get into, you've gotten your loadout. What is it comprised of? It's a good question. So, to start, I'm going to mention this because I talked about it. I said that there's a very outside chance the Tempest Torrent, the new DMR, would be good in Warzone because it does a lot of damage, particularly does a lot of headshot damage.
Yeah.
I said it was a small chance, and turns out it's fucking terrible.
Very small chance.
Awful.
Yeah.
Worse than you would imagine it is.
Really?
Yeah, and there are 2 reasons for that. Number 1, I didn't realize this about this game, but they made the same mistake they made in Warzone 1, which they ended up rectifying, I think, but they brought back the mistake for Warzone 2, which is awesome. The Tempest Torrent and every marksman rifle takes sniper rifle ammo.
Yeah.
I had totally forgotten about this, and I said, oh, well, that's miserable.
Well, at least the backpack system, you can hold more. That's made them better in that regard. True. But, you know, I don't want to load up 2 or 3 stacks of sniper ammo in my backpack when I could be having plates or streaks or something, streaks, you know?
Yeah. Of course. Yeah. So that's number 1, but that's a small problem. I never ran out of ammo with it. The biggest problem is that it's just trash. So here's the way to make a semi-auto rifle a good contender for your long-range primary in Warzone. Number 1, it has to be so powerful that it's overpowered, which was the DMR from Warzone 1, which I'm not advocating for. That thing did so much damage that it wouldn't matter anything else. You would still use it. But that's not the Tempest Torrent, which is good. And then the other way you make this viable is give it very, very little recoil, which this gun doesn't have. Now, to be fair, the recoil isn't a lot. It's fine. And maybe I should have been using a more zoom optic so that it would have more visual recoil, but I would have a better sight picture. I probably should have tried that, and maybe I will.
What optic did you run?
Just the Choreo or the Lone Wolf.
Okay. Yeah. Okay.
Same amount of zoom you use on your holo.
Yeah. Okay.
It's. I was missing too many shots that I would be landing with a full auto AR because it's semi-auto. And it's not like the Tempest Torrent has a ton of recoil. It doesn't. It just has enough to where it's not worth running.
Yeah.
It would need to have very, very, very little to justify using it. Now, the damage is fucking gross on it, but to be landing all of those shots to where the TTK is functionally higher than a full auto AR, I'd have to be quite close to people. And at that point, I'm going to lose because the mobility and handling on it is too trash. Particularly if you're going to build it for recoil control. It's going to ADS fucking slow, which mine was. So
and it's still going to have too much recoil.
Yeah, probably, yeah. So the point here is that the Tempest Torrent is in fact kind of dog shit. At least in my opinion, for Warzone and shit. It's very good in multiplayer, however. It's like an LMS. It has a little better recoil control and a little worse fire rate, I think. Or no. It's very similar to the LMS, which is like the most broken marksman rifle in multiplayer. And it also is a one-shot headshot in multiplayer. So it was really good in multi when I was leveling it up. But for Warzone, yeah, it's a miss. So what long-range AR are we using? I've been using the Hemlock, partially to get it Orion. I'm on gold now, so I need the 3 kills without dying shit. Like 3 more times, I think. So I've just been kind of passively leveling that by using it in on the island. And it's very good. I also like the TAC 56 as well for the island. The setup I've been running for the Hemlock is the Lone Wolf, which is a holo that gives you a little zoom, and it has my favorite reticle of the options available at that zoom level. It has extended mags, the long barrel, Komodo heavy muzzle, and then for the Hemlock, a stock attachment. Now, the problem with the Hemlock is that the biggest mag you can get is 45 rounds. This is fine, and it's certainly usable. I wish it was 60, but especially on the island, it's not strictly necessary. And that's why
the fire rate too. Fire rate's not real high, so
yeah, exactly. It's not strictly necessary. I would definitely prefer an extra 15 bullets, and sometimes I'm annoyed I don't have them, but it's not so big of a con that the gun's like not worth using. It's very good. It has very low recoil, has very solid damage and damage ranges. It's great. But my favorite thing about the Hemlock that the TAC 56 does not have, because the TAC 56, the preference there is it has a 60 round mag, and it also has no recoil. It reloads faster, and I think it even ADS is faster than a Hemlock too, even with 60 rounds. So that's a lot of pros. I think
it does. It definitely does, yeah.
So you might be thinking, well, why the fuck not use the TAC 56? Well, in my case, first of all, its damage and damage ranges aren't quite as good. Second of all, it does not have the goated stock attachment, which everyone is sleeping on. And that is any stock for an AR, well, for any gun, but we're talking about ARs, that gives you a bonus to aim down sight speed and aim down sight strafe speed. People sleep on this attachment. People sleep on the ADS strafe speed stat. Stop it. Stop doing that. Especially on the island. It's very, very, very fucking good to be able to ADS walk and strafe kids, strafe in and out of cover, go left and right mid gunfight, make people miss. It's a fantastic attachment, and the TAC 56 does not have one. Now, the TAC 56 does have an attachment that increases ADS strafe speed, but it does not also increase aim down sight time. It only does the one or the other. There are 2 separate stocks. But on the Hemi, you get one stock that has both. It makes me think the Hemlock is overall better only for that attachment. It's so fucking good. So you guys need to stop sleeping on this goddamn attachment, is my point here. But what are your thoughts on the Hemlock, the TAC? What are you rocking?
Yeah, we had talked about how I feel like the TAC is just going to be better. We had talked about Moz last time. I don't remember what episode that was. We had said I think the TAC's just better for Moz than the Hemlock, because Hemlock just doesn't feel that good. So on a big map, so we'd rather just have more ammo. So I figured it'd be good for the island as well, having the extra 60 or having the extra 15 rounds. Like you said, ADS is faster, feels like it has better mobility, less recoil, a bigger magazine. On paper, it all is pretty much better. I used it just for a few games, not a real big sample size, but I did not like it as much as the ISO, shockingly. It felt considerably worse. A lot of hit markers. So you get extra ammo in your magazine, but the gun at range especially, it feels like you're getting an extra 2 or 3 hit markers when you just have that down with the ISO. And to me, that just makes it not worth running. Which is annoying because I don't I've said it so many times. I don't like at all how the ISO feels. In fact, I hate it. But it's still just like it's the best AR to use. Unfortunately, it doesn't. It's not a good gun to use. It's not fun using a gun that ADS is that slow. But that's the build like you have to run pretty much to make it work. So I did not like it. I'm looking at some stats right now for like damage per mag. The TAC 56 has way more theoretical damage per mag. Like
per mag,
pretty much
50 more bullets.
That's what I'm saying. So you would think like with that one magazine, it's still going to end up being a better gun, but it does not feel that way at all. Like it's like 300 more damage for one magazine, but it does not feel that way to me. I don't know why. So didn't like the gun. I'll stick to the ISO. I don't even know what setup I'm using right now. I've used 100 different setups and I still don't like it, but it's working the best out of the other ARs, so I'm going to stick to it. But yeah, so TAC was kind of a bust for me. I was kind of interested in trying like the cast off 545 because the ground loot one feels really good.
Yeah, I want to try
but
that
I just don't think it's going to be good. It'll be good like closer range, but I just know it's not going to be as good at range, and it's going to feel even worse than like the TAC 56 felt to me. So I see a lot of people building TAC Vs actually on the island, which I'd be interested in trying. I need to look at what the actual time to kill is looking like now because they nerfed that gun so heavily. Find it hard to believe it'd be good, but I see a lot of those custom guns. So either someone's onto something or just everyone is stupid, which is very possible, and usually that is the case. Let me just do actually a quick base to base testing here. Let's put the ISO just up against the ISO no attachments up against the holy shit worky website.
The Tactical Victor, man. You can do it.
Holy fuck, it doesn't work. There we go. Let's see how they look. Time to kill with no attachments. TAC V is better up close by a little bit. At the longest damage range, they're about the same pretty much everywhere.
Has way more recoil.
And the TAC V has a lot more recoil, yeah. So TAC V does, I think, have a nasty heady though. Yeah, nasty headshot multiplier on the TAC V.
That's probably
so
what
maybe
it is.
I'll end up trying that again because if I aim for headshots, that's another thing. A gun like that is never going to be as good for a controller player because you're not aiming for a head because there's really no reason to. When you have like such good chest shot tracking, why would you mess that up by trying to aim up and then mix in a headshot? It's just not worth it. But if on K-Band, when you actually try to aim for headshots, that can make it worth using. So I think next time we play, I will try TAC V. Yeah, it would be interesting to try. But I think just the movement's going to be awful. The ADS wasn't great. So probably not going to like it, but I'll give that a shot next time.
Yeah. One other thing I was thinking of trying, because when I was switching between the Hemi and the TAC 56, I made that stock realization. I was very annoyed the TAC didn't have it, the 56. And then yesterday, Jacob Down, whom I was carrying, which we'll get into, don't worry.
Jacob Downer.
Don't worry, Jake, we'll get into it. Is that, he picked up, I guess, a ground loot Kastov 7.62, henceforth known as the AK, because it's an AK. And he was like, dude, this ground loot AK is nasty. I'm going to try and build one. So he built one, and then he was saying he really liked it, and he was doing really well with it. And he was doing fine. We were winning our games. Again, I was carrying him, but that's fine. So I also want to try that. That made me want to try that. I have not tried that. It's been nerfed a couple of times recently, so I'm curious what the stats are on it. But, again, the AK might have everything I'm looking for, meaning a 60-round mag and the goated stock, the coveted stock that gives aim down sight speed and aim down sight strafe speed. So that's going to be next on my little list here. I will be trying it. I am curious, though. Can you pull up the damage numbers on that sucker compared to a Hemi?
What? The Kastov doesn't have a 60-round mag, I don't think.
The Kastov 7.62?
No, it doesn't have a 60-round mag.
It doesn't?
No, I think it's 40 or 45.
No.
Yeah.
Fuck have a 60. You're a piece of shit. You're a dumb piece of shit. I'm going to look now as well. I believe you, but I'm mad about it.
Yeah, 20 and 40.
That's
in the
so
standard
sad.
30.
What?
Time to kill is still good. Let me
How does it
delete this
compare to the
stupid-
Hemi though?
I mean, with no attachments, it's better at all ranges. I'm looking at headshots. Hold on, it's about the same with chest shots. Yeah, it's the same thing.
And it's got longer damage ranges though.
Yeah, a few meters longer.
Well,
we're just looking no
for the most
attachments.
part. Yeah.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah, maybe that'd be worth trying again then too.
I think.
I mean, I'll try anything
trying.
other than the ISO. I just don't like how it feels at all.
I actually I'm not even interested in trying it anymore.
Because the no 60.
Yeah. Because then even if it has the goated stock, so does the Hemlock, and the Hemlock has 5 more bullets and a virtually identical TTK, so why bother? Although, what is the headshot damage, actually? Headshot damage is a lot better on the 7.62, though. I do want to try it again. Yeah. It's got a lot more headshot damage. Yeah. So I will try that, actually. That's interesting. So that's another one I want to try. Let me just confirm that it does have the goated stock here, though. Let's see.
Rear stock.
Yep.
Wait.
Yep, it does.
I don't know. I don't see it. Which one is it?
ProLite TL3.
ProLite TL3.
ADS time and ADS movement speed, baby. The goated stock. The coveted stock.
I think you're living in Verdant still. I don't think that's worth it in this game. Guns have too much recoil. You can't afford to hurt your recoil even more. I mean, look at that. Plus almost 13% sway. Plus 5% vertical and horizontal. That's not worth it at all. To move a little bit faster in ADS, no fucking way. And the thing is, the ADS movement speeds in this game still aren't good, even with the improvements like that. I don't think that'd be worth it.
It's definitely noticeable on the Hemlock.
Is it?
Yeah.
Well, yeah, I mean, the Hemlock, you're basically in quicksand when you're ADSing with a standard build. Yeah,
the reason I can get, because the Hemlock, the stock I'm using, it does hurt the recoil by 4.2%, but on that gun it has so little recoil that you can afford to take that. Maybe you can't afford to take a similar penalty on a gun like this Kastov, which has more recoil. That's a good point. You might be right about that.
I would almost even say the sway is a bigger deal. Plus 13% weapon sway when the guns already have quite a bit. You're gonna miss a lot more shots that way, I think.
I'm gonna try
more
it,
than just
but
the recoil
I'll
itself.
get back to you. But anyway, I don't know. Just a couple things to think about. But if you wanted to play it safe, use a Hemlock for sure. It's super easy to use and super solid at pretty much everything. So there you go. Next is a little brainstorm question.
Yeah, what is it?
And this was brought on by me dying in this way. As we have talked about a fair amount, and will continue to, there is water in this game that you can swim in.
There's some water.
Which is fucking cringe. And when you get in the water, you don't make noise. You're also invisible. You essentially disappear from the game. So smart players use that water to disappear. So if you're getting shot, you can just bloop, disappear. I'm invincible now, smile. And one time, I and some other guy had the same idea to get underwater so that we stopped being shot. This was like fairly late game. The match ended at most 90 seconds after this. So it was very late. So there were a lot of teams still shooting at us, whatever. So I get wet. Some other guy does too. And I, being the asshole I am, I guess, am running 2 primary weapons. But this guy's got apparently a giant fucking brain. And he's not running overkill. His secondary is an X13 auto.
Yeah.
And the big advantage there, the only advantage, really, is that pistols can be shot underwater.
Mm-hmm.
SMGs and ARs cannot be shot underwater. So we're both underwater, avoiding the absolute Armageddon above us. And this guy sees me, and he fucking draws his pistol and fucks my ass underwater with the X13 auto. And there's quite literally nothing I can do. I can't even shoot him back, obviously, because I don't have a pistol. And that made me think, wonder if I should be running a pistol secondary.
Yeah.
And I don't think it's worth it. But when you need it, it's worth it. And that is not the only guy who has killed me underwater. He was just the first one. But I have died a number of times to people underwater with X13 autos. So then the question is, of course, is it worth having the capacity to shoot someone underwater, giving up your submachine gun? And the answer, I think, is probably no. However, I would also ask, does there exist some pistol that is good enough at close range on the surface to justify it? So, for example, like X13 Auto's Akimbo. Would that be good enough in a building to compete with an SMG to justify using so that I can also use the X13 Akimbo underwater? I don't think so, but it's possible. And then you could also alter your play style if you're running a pistol and get even more aquatic than you otherwise would, because now you can shoot people underwater. I don't know. What are your thoughts?
Yeah, when we were playing with Lag, he had this idea, actually, and I think he was using that because he's like, oh, to water ending, get your pistols or something like that. We all ignored him, though, because it's Lag. You don't listen to anything he says. But I don't know if he was actually doing that or not. But yeah, it's like you're saying, the thing is, when you end up needing it underwater late game, it's going to be the difference between you winning or losing that game. Whereas the rest of the game on land, you can probably get away and do okay with like just using an AR, just don't push in buildings as much, just pretty much don't have to use your secondary. But I don't know overall if that's worth it. I think to me, I would never do it just because I don't want to run out the pistol for a while. I guess like you can get the free loadout or something if you can tell it's going to be a water ending and then swap to it then.
True, actually. Building a pistol loadout. Yeah. I
don't understand why in this game when you buy your weapons, why can we only buy weapons that are in the primary weapon slot? Why can I not just buy a pistol if I like? What's the downside to that? Was it just a complete oversight? Because no one's ever mentioned that. No. Oh. You can the only guns you can buy are guns that are your first primary weapon in your loadout, which it's not possible to have a pistol there. No one's ever talked about that. So because that would be a totally different thing. If it was getting late game, just hit a buy station and buy your secondary.
I think if you run overkill, it might let you do that.
I don't think you can't run two secondaries with overkill.
Pretty sure you can.
I don't think so. Pretty sure you can. We can open up the game and try it right now, but I'm almost positive you cannot. So that would be the best strat, of course, if you could do that, but you can't. So overall,
that's a great idea, though.
I don't think it's worth.
If you can,
I don't think it's worth having to run a pistol for like a large portion of the game just for late game when water may come into play. I don't know.
Yeah, I think you're onto something, though. I think in general you shouldn't do it, and you should just get overkill or just get two guns. We'll get into it. But it would be a good idea to set up either a loadout where the pistol is in the primary slot so that you can buy just the gun for $2,500 at a buy station. If that's possible, we'll get back to you in a second. Or if not, setting up a loadout that has a pistol at least as the secondary so that if you notice it's going to be a water ending when you're getting your loadout, don't get overkill. Get the pistol loadout instead, because you know it's going to get super aquatic. Which, by the way, you can pretty easily tell often if it's going to end in water or not with the circles as they are on the island. Yeah. I think that is the correct answer. I think you nailed it. You shouldn't always get the pistols, but you should sometimes get the pistol loadout if depending on the circle. I think I need to set that up. I think you're right about that. Are you in the game?
Yeah. No, yeah. See, when you run overkill, you cannot even... Overkill doesn't work for secondaries, period.
So you're going to, okay, because in MW 19 you were able to run a launcher and a riot shield, for example, which are both second. Oh wait, no, those weren't both secondaries.
No, they weren't. Yeah, no.
I thought you were able to.
Melee is a primary. Yeah, no, so you can't do it. You with overkill selected, there's not even a pistol category you can select from.
That's so
assault rifles,
shit.
Battle rifles, SMG, shotgun, LMG, marksman, sniper, and melee. So yeah, it can't be done. Yeah,
can be done. Yeah,
yeah,
that's too bad.
But yeah, I don't. And so my point being also, why is that even the case in this game? Why has that always been the case? How come I can go to a buy station, spend $2,500 and buy a meta Fennec when the game first came out that destroys people in 2 shots, but I can't buy a pistol? Like what?
Yeah.
How it's another one of those things that is just so wrong with the game, but no one never thinks of or complains about, and it'll never get changed because no one complains about it. But that would be very big for late game Ashika Island if you could buy secondaries. Just go and buy a Kimbo Snake Shot, Kimbo X13s at the last buy station when there's 12, 15 people left when it's going to be a water ending.
You're right. Fuck, that's annoying. Yeah. I feel
You're thinking
like
with Treyarch games you can run 2 secondaries, I'm almost positive, right? I think that's the thing. In Cold War, I think you can run 2 secondaries, but Infinity Ward doesn't let you do that.
Yeah. Classic. Yeah.
That would be an insane strat if you could. That'd be cool.
Dude, yeah, that's a good idea. However, though, still, I will say, yeah, you can't. It's not possible. Nope. I will say, you're right, though. I think the way to do it, the only way you can do it, is to set up a class that mirrors your... If you're an Ashika Island player whose primary loadout is an overkill loadout, so you're never picking up 2 loadouts anyway, like me, for example, which we'll get into, just duplicate that class and then just swap overkill out for tracker or something. We'll get into it, and then have the pistol there. And then when you're picking up your loadout, if you notice it's a water one, don't use an SMG that game. I think that's probably, or shotgun. Dude, I think that's probably.
I just thought of another way they could make the water not as terrible and buff tracker. What if tracker showed like you're swimming, like your waves or something, like a color? That would be so cool, and that would get people to run tracker, and that could make it so they don't actually have to make any changes to the water in their point of view. That'd be dope, huh?
That would be very cool. Yeah. It's a good idea, so they'll never do it.
It's a great idea, never happened. Yeah,
that is something Tracker could
develop this video game,
and it wouldn't be overpowered.
For sure, know what they're doing.
Exactly what Tracker should do. Yeah.
Yeah.
So moving on to other secondaries, then. I think that is the play for pistols. If you're an Ashika main, set up that second class with a pistol.
Yeah, I'm gonna grab some water.
And then the question is, I guess, what pistol should you run? I think it would probably just be the X13 Auto, non-akimbo. The reason for that is that, maybe. I think it's the X13 Auto, and it's either akimbo or not. I think that's the only question. On Maz, I run non-akimbo Snake Shot for my secondary. I almost always have both my guns anyway, but in an emergency situation, that's my secondary. But I wouldn't recommend that for the island, because if the reason you're getting the pistol loadout is because you expect to be using it underwater, you want something with way more range than that. So I think X13 Auto and more versatility. I think X13 Auto is just better in that case, because you're not going to be able to swim fast and get right up to somebody. I mean, the advantage of a shotgun is you can enter a room, so you go from having cover to not having cover, but also only being 5 meters from your opponent. It's not possible underwater. There's no cover. So if they do have an X13 Auto, you can't enter the room in the water. You're just either you see each other or you don't at any range. So I think you'd want the X13 Auto. The question is, would you run akimbo or not? I don't. The advantage of akimbo would possibly be that it's going to be way better above ground before you get into that water situation than the single, but I think the single is definitely going to be better underwater, though, because unless you're on top of someone underwater, you want to be able to ADS. And every time I've died underwater, it's been to a single X13 auto. But again, the downside of that would be it's probably not as good above ground as Akimbo. I know they nerfed Akimbo a lot, so I could be wrong on that, but yeah. So those are some things to think about. But on the topic of real guns for secondaries, I did try the shotgun some more. I think it's chalked. I don't think it's bad, the broadside. I just don't think it's that good, and it's certainly not as good as some other options you can try. Yeah. So I think the shotgun is pretty much chalked. Most people aren't running it anymore. Yeah, I tried it, and it's lost a lot of range. You can tell. I just don't think it's worth it. Yeah. You're still going to get an insane TTK at like 2 meters or whatever, but outside of that really good damage range, you're going to get dunked on by a lot of different SMGs. So I don't think it's worth it, sadly. So then what should you run? Well, another thing I tried was the Hipfire MP7, because the MP7, according to these websites and whatever, has the best hipfire spread without any attachments in the game. So that would imply that it's the best hipfire weapon. So I tried it. I built a hipfire MP7, and it's good. It's solid, but it's just not as good as the hipfire MP5, which is easily the best secondary in the game right now, bar none. If you're on a controller and you don't like to use hipfire weapons because you have auto tac sprint on, I know that that's awkward to do, then your best weapon is probably just like a standard MP5 that you can ADS with or whatever. But if you're on KBAM, the hipfire MP5 is fucking insane. It's a joke how good it is, and it's disgusting.
Well, wouldn't say that. It's balanced. I don't think so. We also did some, I did some testing because Tanner was telling me that I was using the Lockwood Precision 40 underbarrel for recoil, or for hipfire accuracy and hipfire recoil control or whatever. Or no, for hipfire accuracy. Yeah. And I was under the assumption that was the best hipfire underbarrel in general, because it is the best it's the best underbarrel for aim down sight recoil control. The lock grip or Lockwood Precision 40, whatever the fuck. That attachment underbarrel is going to help your recoil control while ADS'd the most. That does not translate to hipfire though. And I did some testing, and I'm not fucking exclusive ace. I didn't do a science fair experiment, but it's pretty clear to me the VX Pineapple is the best hipfire underbarrel. That's what you should be running. And so the MP5 build is the Point G3P 04 laser, the FTAC M sub 12-inch barrel, the VX Pineapple underbarrel, the 50 round drum, which is the biggest mag you can get on it, and then to offset the movement penalty you just incurred by using that, the LM stockless mod, which gives you a ton of mobility and handling. And the downsides are like aim down sight recoil control, which doesn't matter because you're hip firing. This is the goated with the sauce build. You can hip fire very far away. And because the fire rate of an MP5 is not that high, that 50 round drum mag goes a long way. It does, yeah.
It goes a very long way. When I was playing yesterday, on 2 separate occasions, running 50 over 40 rounds was worth it. Because this was some discourse you and I had on Patreon, patreon.com/thedropshot, on a bonus episode. Is it worth dropping the 50 for a 40 to get more movement speed, and the only downside is 10 fewer bullets? I think the answer is if you want extra movement speed, it's probably worth it. Because of the fire rate, you can absolutely get away with 40 rounds, and that's absolutely enough ammo most of the time. However, there were 2 situations yesterday where I was very glad I had a 50 round mag. I might have been okay with 40. I'm not sure. One was at the drop spot. Some fucking idiots decided to push me. We were playing trio quads because there was a trio tournament. Oh yeah, by the way, so me, Lag, and Jake want to play fucking on the island, right?
Yeah,
apparently there's a Baka Bros Bukkake tournament.
Oh yeah, I saw something about that.
And it was a trios tournament. So then Lag mentions this before we queue, and I'm like, oh, okay. Shouldn't be a problem. It's a big game. Lots of people play. Guess what?
No one plays.
Guess what? We queue for trios. First game on. Second team we see. Biffle, Sage, and whoever else the fuck.
Yeah.
And we ended up actually killing them. They left that lobby. We didn't team wipe them, but we killed them numerous times. Yeah.
Nice.
But then we said, oh, cool. See ya. Done with trios. So we left trios and queued trio quads. So anyway.
That's funny.
Here I am, which was considerably easier than playing trios and with those demons. So, yeah, where I'm south of the drop spot. It's like right outside that building. There are 3 people pushing me, and their 4th is lagging behind. And I kill 3 people with 1 mag of the hipfire MP5 by hip firing at all of them. Because they were stacked.
Jesus Christ, really?
They were holding hands that closely. So, like, one got... And here's what really happened, is they were all chasing, because I think one of them got me weak. So I took cover, started plating up. And then they were all sprinting or tack sprinting after me. So once I was fully plated, I turned the corner and started hip fire barking with that thing. And I caught all of them in a sprint to fire or tack sprint to fire timer. So I just down all of them before they can get basically any shots on me. Killed all 3 by just doing like AoE damage with my hip fire. It was fucking disgusting. And then the 4th guy almost fucks me, and then my teammates finally decide they should help and they kill him. So we killed them all.
Yeah, you didn't have good teammates. That makes sense.
Yeah. So that was like one example where I was very happy with the 50 round drum mag. I'm not sure how many bullets I had left by the time I got them all 3 down, but it was close. So I was very glad there, but I fucking gapped them all. And if I wasn't running hipfire build, I think I'd still be fine. They were so close together, but yeah, it was really good. And then there was another game where, again, we're playing trio quads with Lag and Jake. 2 teams are alive. Excuse me. I'm alive. And then there's another team alive. Because Jake and Lag are dog shit and trash, and they were getting carried and they were dead. And this was at Beach Club proper. And they just got gapped by the hipfire MP5. I was going in and out of the Beach Club fucking plating, and they made the mistake of like coming in single file basically. So like one guy pushed me, hipfire, fucking gap him, plate up, keep running away, his friends coming after me. I only have 2 plates now. Gap the other guy, pick up his plate. I still have 2 plates. I think the last guy, I think I only killed 3 of the 4. I think one of them was
only 3 kills. Already. You got the whole game.
That's not true. He jumps around again, just chasing me, and I just fucking gapped him with the hipfire MP5. Even though it was 3 versus 4 plates, or 3 versus 2 plates, I had 2 plates. Because this gun is that good, use the hipfire MP5. It's just better. Hipfire MP7 was good, but because of its fire rate, even when I switched to the VX Pineapple, by the way, the bloom happens very quickly. So even though its starting aim down sight spread is extremely tight, tighter than the MP5s, it blooms out beyond that so much more quickly than the MP5 that functionally, I'm not sure it has better hip fire accuracy.
Now, did you use that with the Pineapple though, or was that Correct, when you were trying the lock grip? Okay.
It was with both, but even I did also try it with the Pineapple. Yeah.
Yeah, I'll try it myself because I don't believe you. If there are some better attachments to run and set up, because you would think if it has the ability to have a smaller starting spread, it would end up ultimately being a little bit better or about the same.
Well, here's the thing though. If every time a bullet comes out of your gun, it blooms more. Mm-hmm. If the gun had triple the fire rate, it would bloom way quicker than another gun.
Yeah.
Now, obviously, the MP7 doesn't have triple the fire rate, but it's a lot faster. And that's what it felt like to me. I would like for you to try it and let me know, but it didn't seem to, in practice, have as good of hip fire for that reason.
Yeah, I'm going to build one right now and check it while
build it.
You're still doing that. But yeah, hipfire MP5 feels good. I do want to still go back and try the ADS MP5 because honestly, that feels really, really good too. Yeah, I feel
aiming down sight is cringe.
You seem to think that, but really, you still have to aim at the person, right? Either way, you still have to aim your mouse at the person. It's not that much worse. And especially in this game, when there's no mobility anyways, the hipfire builds made way more sense in Warzone 1 when someone would be sliding across my screen. It's easier to be not aim down sight and have a wider field of view to gap those kids. But in this game where it's like you can't move, someone's going to be standing still anyways. I feel like the hipfire builds aren't ultimately as good. So since we've been playing so much the island lately, I'm going to, next time we play, try the actual ADS build because I may end up liking it better. I like it a lot on Mazra. It feels really good. So maybe that'll end up being ultimately better for me.
That's a good point about the mobility.
That hipfire build does feel really good still, though. That's for sure been my favorite SMG that I've used so far. But yeah, I'm going to try building this right now.
From everything I've used lately, so whether you're using a hipfire or aim down sight build, the time to kill is going to be, the same if you're landing every bullet on each, obviously. So
yeah,
whether you're a hipfire Chad enjoyer or not, I think the MP5 is just unequivocally the best secondary in the game right now.
Yeah. It's
just so strong. It kills so fast.
The MP7 has a couple hip recoil control barrels. Did you try either of those? They decrease damage range, though.
I used whatever barrel on the I didn't check for this, so maybe there's a better barrel. But whatever barrel adds hip fire accuracy is the one I used. Not hip recoil
all of them
control.
Do that. Literally every single one. 5 of the barrels do that. 4 of them do.
The longest one, then. Okay. I'll tell you right now, actually. Here, I'll look.
Probably.
Yeah, I could have used more. Let me see. What is it called? What's the MP7 called? The Vel?
The Vel 46.
Right? Change it. Let's see. Barrel. So I
the other thing about the Vel, though, we're using the 60 round drum mag. That's a lot of ammo you get. Or are we using the 50?
60. Yeah.
Okay.
You need it with the fire rate. You need it.
Yeah, that's true. Hip recoil control.
There are 3, by the way. I was using the one of the first 2, whichever one says it increases hip fire accuracy. The Schlager RVB, probably.
Yeah, see, that's worse hip recoil control, so maybe that could be it, too.
Oh, what about the Tango 228?
That's minus hip recoil control.
Okay.
Damage range, hip
Is
fire
there a barrel
accuracy,
that
velocity.
adds hip fire accuracy and hip fire recoil control?
No.
Okay. Then yeah. Then my
hip recoil control. Yeah, no. This one may be interesting, this last barrel. Let me try this, put that on there. The point. Oh, where's the good laser? Oh, it doesn't have the good laser either.
It does. Every gun does.
Oh, there we go. It wasn't letting me scroll. There we go. You can tune that for hip spread.
Tune it.
Damage range, sure. Hip recoil control, hip fire accuracy. That's 5 attachments. Let's try it.
Give it a try.
Oh, that's a tiny spread. Yeah.
I know, it's small before you shoot.
Yeah, I don't know. This thing has way less bloom. It has no bloom. I swear to God, the crosshair hardly changes.
Okay, so here's
almost
what I
like
did.
It's bugged. Maybe it's bugged in the firing range because it barely moves.
Well, here's what I did to test it. I built the hipfire MP5 and then I built the hipfire MP7. And I started shooting at the second paper target.
Okay.
And seeing which gun killed it faster, hipfire only, and it was always the MP5.
Really?
By a lot. Try that. Maybe you found the meta barrel that I wasn't using. I find that very hard to believe, but it's possible, I guess. I don't know.
Yeah, let me try this now.
I'll get into game and look right now. In fact, actually, I'm curious.
I think it's actually bugged. Yeah, it's just a firing range bug, or just because the game's a buggy disaster. Because it shows way less spread on the MP7. But you're right. I'm missing way more shots than the MP5 that shows wider bloom.
Yeah.
Something seemed a little screwy with it. Game doesn't work. It's a dog shit game. But yeah. I want to actually try it in game too to see.
Well, what you're experiencing with a lot more shots missed on the second target, that was happening to me in game, which is why I went to the firing range to try it. Because I noticed people that were 10 meters away or 12 that I'd be landing every shot with the MP5. I felt like I wasn't with the MP7, so then I tried it and I was like, yeah, it's just not as good.
No, it was the crosshair was literally visually bugged. I switched to the MP5, then I swapped back the MP7. Now it's showing way more spread. Okay. It was bugged. There you go. Game doesn't work. Okay, there we go. Yeah, so MP5 ultimately probably still a lot better then.
Yeah.
For the hipfire builds, if you want to run that.
Yeah, which is sad, but true.
Yeah.
So, anyway, yeah. So moving on then to equipment, lethals and tacticals. This is, to me, pretty obvious still. For tacticals, smokes are still just so fucking good.
Yeah, agreed.
And I always use them. And you have to rotate in shit positions a lot on the island, and having smokes has saved my life so many times. Having smokes has saved my life far more times than having a flash would have saved my life, because I would have won a gunfight I'm otherwise going to lose. Especially now with the hipfire MP5, I feel very confident heads up. Feel like I don't need a flash grenade. And I feel like I'm not in situations very often on the island where a flash is going to be the difference between me winning and losing a gunfight. Yeah. Whereas smokes save my life all the fucking time. I think they're just so good.
Smokes are huge. Yeah, smokes are good. I've ran flashes a little bit, but you just need smokes for everything. Especially if you ever have to hit a loadout or something for some reason, or hit a buy. It's good for everything. We'll smoke each other out all the time. If I see someone rezzing another teammate, I'm like, oh, here, I'll throw smoke on you. The last time we were playing, I think lag was down, or you were down and I was rezzing someone. And it was lag was up, and I think I was rezzing you. And I was like, lag, can you smoke me? He's like, yeah, because we were in the middle of the street. Throws a smoke, they pop so quickly. That's the other big thing about smoke, is as soon as it hits the ground, it's a massive smoke grenade, and it's already covering the area. So they work so quickly that you can use them in a pinch, in a fast situation when you wouldn't think you'd be able to, because it's a smoke grenade. But yeah, they work great for that, reviving everything, rotating. Again, it comes down to the game not having very fast movement, so you need everything you can in order to make rotations in this game, and that's why they're so strong. I've seen some super sweats also when it comes to lethals running throwing knives, because they want to get their little TikTok clips that no one cares about. Yeah. Don't need that in this game, since they added all of these other ways to reduce the rebirth, the resurgence timer. You don't need to get full kills anymore, because you take a step and you reduce it by 5 seconds. You piss out of your pants and it reduces it by another 8 seconds. Your teammates are just constantly coming back. You don't need to full kill people as quickly. It's not as important as it used to be. So yeah, I'm running Semtex for that. I've actually never, I don't think I've ever used anything else. It's always just been Semtex, and they're fine. Let's be clear, you won't ever get a kill with a Semtex, but it'll make people move and crack them and whatnot. And it'll help you in ways. You're not going to get kills with it though. Yeah. So yeah, smoke and Semtex for me, no different than Maz. I agree. Yeah, on the topic of lethals, I don't think. Again, I think one thing that is worth trying, now a little brainstorm action, I actually really want to try this, is running mollies. I think that could be quite good. They come out of your hands so fast. So slow in this game. That's the biggest thing with them. It's a very slow animation, from what I remember. I haven't ran them in a while, but I'm just thinking in multiplayer, even you're dead by the time you can throw it. That's interesting. I do run fast hands, so maybe that would make mollies not so slow that they're unusable. So if you're running fast hands and mollies, the reason I want to try that is because, like you said, you're not getting kills with Semtexes. It's just not happening. You're not getting downs even often at all.
So if I'm not going to be like killing someone or downing them with a lethal anyway, I might as well use a molly so that I get some utility out of it, which is the area denial.
That's true.
If Semtexes were doing a lot of damage, then I'd rather have the damage over the area denial. But if no lethal matters for damage anyway, which kind of seems to be the case, I think a molly might actually be the play, so I can just deny area and then still do damage on people, you know. But it will depend on how slow that is with fast hands. That's a good point. Especially on the island, it's important to be able to get shit out quick. So, yeah, something to consider there. So another thing we want to try, by the way, quickly before we move on to our next point here, and if you guys want to do some testing, that would be great. It's possible that attachments in the gunsmith that add recoil control, so plus vertical recoil control, plus recoil, plus horizontal recoil control, also help with the hipfire bloom. I just tried to test it on my hipfire MP7. I think it might actually work that way. I dropped the stock, which doesn't do anything for hipfire, to put on the XRK Sandstorm, and I think it was landing a lot more bullets from the hip on the second paper target in the firing range.
Interesting.
If any of you have any stats on that or details, let me know. That does change the game, because I might want to fuck around and put a muzzle on my MP5 also. I don't know if that would be worth it, because you'd be losing a lot of mobility to do that. But I would.
That's true. Yeah.
I don't think especially it would be worth it on an MP5. Yeah. But I would like to know. So if any of you know or are willing to test it in the gun range, does regular ass put on a muzzle that gives you the most recoil control, because none of them say hip fire specifically, and see if it helps your hip fire anyway. I'd be very curious. So anyways.
Yeah.
Moving on to perks. Interesting discussion here. I was initially running Battle Hardened as one of my base perks, and it's completely fucking useless.
Terrible. Yeah.
I'm just never hit with tacticals. I'm not sure why.
So everyone runs smokes.
Yeah, a lot of people run smokes, I guess. I don't know. Yeah, I'm just not hit by tacticals ever, so Battle Hardened is useless. And even if I was getting flashed all the time, you're probably dead anyway. A lot of times. Not every time it can save you, but oftentimes it doesn't.
Yeah.
So that means most basic perks are pretty dog shit. I've been running Bomb Squad for the explosive damage, which is helpful sometimes, but again, not very often. And then Overkill, because why not? Might as well just get both my guns right away. Interestingly, though, like Jacob Down does not run Overkill on his Ashika class. He'll like buy his second gun, or he will, get a second loadout. Which, to be fair,
I guess we've never tried that. Yeah, I don't know why I haven't tried it.
Probably worth doing, because a gun is only $2,500. And there's like, you can get the second loadout anyway. So that's probably something worth trying. The reason I've thought about trying it, and the reason I don't is I don't care, because there's no basic perk I feel like I'm missing out on.
That's the other thing, yeah.
So I might as well run Overkill, and it's just way more convenient. The only thing I could say, though, and here's something I want to try doing, is either running Bomb Squad plus Tracker or Overkill plus Tracker. Because Jake, I remember very specifically, got a kill on some guy we were fucking playing grab ass with in a building, only because it was in Castle, actually, because it's impossible to hear them. So you won't know where they are unless you can see their footsteps. But he had Tracker, so he's like, just follow me. I have Tracker. And I was like, oh, okay. Then we ended up killing the guy. And we probably wouldn't have been able to locate him without Tracker, actually. So that got me thinking, maybe I should drop Bomb Squad for Tracker, because I feel like Bomb Squad isn't doing much for me either.
Yeah, none of the perks do anything really. None of the base perks.
Do you think that's worth doing, or is there maybe some other base perk that's worth subbing Bomb Squad out for?
For me, the other one would be double time for sure, because I like moving and having faster than a second and a half of tack sprint. Yeah. Hey, devs, let's stop putting tack sprint in the game even when it lasts for a second and a half. Like this is what is wrong with building a game based on a multiplayer game. How come on a map like Warzone, I have the same amount of tack sprint as I do on shipment? Like, why do they not make changes like that? That's what's frustrating too. So it's like on double time, I would rather have a little bit more tack sprint. So if I were to also drop overkill, I think I would run double time and tracker, honestly. Because yeah, battle hardened is just, I mean, a complete waste of a perk. And then bomb squad, you really don't even get hit with lethals that often in this game either, it seems. And when I do, even with or without bomb squad, I just feel like I don't die to them often.
Yeah.
So I think double time and tracker would be a fun little setup to run. That could be interesting to try.
Cute.
That would be my next
combo.
thing.
Yeah, I think that's a cute little combo for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm looking at a perk list here. Oh, another one. You know what I really want to run is strong arm. Actually. Fuck.
Yeah. Maybe, yeah.
I like strong arm a lot.
It's nice for sure.
But again, like you said, yeah, like on the island, it's not going to be relevant very often. But
yeah.
But it is always nice to have, basically. I think if I wanted to be like a giga tryhard, I would do strong arm plus tracker and then just buy my second gun. I just can't be fucked though. That's the thing for me. And there are times the buy station situation on fucking the island is not great. So there are times where you'd want to buy a second gun and there's just no buy around you. And then you're going to be really sad you don't have overkill.
That's why I just have been running overkill, because I just want to get to the buy station, because it's the only time I'll be able to get to one, buy my shit, and not have to ever worry about going back to one ever. That is what it is. Exactly. But that's also because we used to always land farms and shit, and you couldn't afford to be going back and forth to the buy station. At our spot now that's less hot, it may just be worth doing that.
Yeah.
But, you know, you just
something
need...
I want to try.
You think, oh, it's 2,500, but often when we buy our loadout, as a team, we have like maybe 5,000 remaining. And it's like, you also want to buy a UAV. So if everyone in your squad has that and you're running and you're playing quads, you know, that's an extra $10,000 you guys need. 10? How much are they? 20?
10.
Yeah. That's an extra $10,000 just to buy your guns if everyone's doing the same thing. And then someone's like, oh, I need a little bit more money. It's like, all right, I'll drop you my money. And then I still don't have my gun.
And we know
so I don't know.
In Moz.
I mean, we do fine just running overkill. Would I rather like have 2 other perks? Yes, for sure. But I don't know.
Yeah, that's something I'm going to try. But yeah, I think you're right. If there were like a ton of buy stations on the island or static buys, I would be much more inclined to drop overkill. But there are times where like the only loadout we get is the free one. Because the buy stations are just too hot, or they're like in gas or underground or whatever. So, yeah. But that's something I'm going to try out. Now I'm going to try tracker as well. I think tracker is actually going to not be that useful, to be honest. But I want to try it to be sure, because I'm thinking I'm not often like chasing people in buildings. You know, I usually know where they are in a building, or I'm not fighting in a building at all.
Yeah.
So I don't think tracker is going to be that helpful. So I'm thinking where I'll end up landing is strong arm overkill. I think that's going to be my combo, but I'm going to try a variety out. So
yeah.
Anyway.
Yeah, pretty much anything other than overkill. Test them all out.
Yeah. Right. Exactly. So next one here is the bonus perk.
That's a tough one.
This one, yeah. I mean, do we even need to talk about it? Run fast hands, obviously.
Yes.
And it doesn't matter what you're using.
Doesn't matter what you think. It doesn't matter. Oh, well, I've been using this, guys, and it's pretty good, and you're adding us in Discord. I don't care. I don't. Not going to use anything else. So don't bother telling me what worked well for you. I don't care. Fast hands is the perk to run.
I agree. Yeah. There's an argument to dropping fast hands on El Mazrah, which I've made plenty of times on Patreon. And I stand by that argument. You know, on El Mazrah, when I'm not running an LMG, I run resupply instead, because having resupply smokes particularly, and also lethals is nice, but particularly for the smokes, always being able to rotate out of a shit spot on Moz, very, very, very strong, and you don't need fast hands much if you're using an AR on Al Mazrah. You reload fast enough.
Yeah.
However, on the island, there's no world where fast hands is not the play. You're going to be swapping guns way more often. It's going to be way more important that you can swap guns quickly on the island. Obviously, everything's more close quarters. It's going to be way more important you reload quickly on the island. Everything's more close quarters. You have to run fast hands. I think this is non-negotiable. And then when we get to the ultimate perk, I still think High Alert is the best ultimate perk for the island as well as for Al Mazrah. The only other thing I would consider running is Ghost. And I just don't think it matters enough. I feel like people usually know where you are on the island. So I think Ghost is kind of a waste because they're going to know you're there.
Ghost is for people that want to hide on the big map and not have to fight people, and they're petrified of gunfights in a shooting game. Yeah. High Alert. Yeah. Just use High Alert.
It's just super good. And when you're getting on like these rooftops, like we were talking about getting on the roof of that apartment complex east of the fish market. If you have High Alert, you can just stand on the roof and chill, because then because where you're in danger on that roof is the ridge to your east on the right, because they're actually above you and they have a very good line of sight on you.
Yeah.
So if you don't have High Alert and you're standing on that roof shooting into the ravine, you might get fucked on by some people that crest the ridge, aim down sight at you, and start fucking your ass. But if you have High Alert, you can just stand on the roof and just shoot into the ravine without a care in the world, because as soon as you get a ping, you know someone's on the ridge and you need to change your whatever. But without High Alert, you might not know until it's too late. And then there are obviously other situations. It's actually a very good combo with smokes too, because if I'm rotating from one building and I have to like cross the street, for example, with High Alert, I'll do this actually. I'll cross the street, especially since I don't have resupply, since I'm running fast hands. I want to save the smokes if I can. So if I'm crossing a street and I'm in a super exposed position, but I have High Alert, I won't throw a smoke if my vision isn't pulsing, because I know I'm not getting looked at, and it's totally fine. Yeah. And then as soon as it's orange, boom, smoke out. And then I start getting shot, but the smoke's going out before they even started shooting me. Then I can start plating in, and it's very good. So it's a very good combo for that as well. High Alert, I think, is just the best. One question I have, though, Quick Fix, which is a Rebirth Island, for example, player connoisseurs' favorite perk, one of them. There were a lot of Quick Fix gamers on Rebirth Island.
Oh, yeah.
Is Quick Fix worth dropping High Alert for on the Ashika Island?
No. I don't even have a reason. Just no. I would just rather have High Alert, I think. You get in such few situations where Quick Fix would actually genuinely matter.
I agree with you.
Like just hardly ever.
Island. Yeah. The game just isn't Rebirth Island, so you're not like constantly CQB like that, where Quick Fix is going to matter very often. I can't really think of a time where I would have loved Quick Fix, to be honest. Because you're either going to get in cover and get enough time to replate, or you're going to die, it feels like. So yeah, Quick Fix is an interesting thing to like consider. I just don't think it would ultimately be worth it. But maybe if I ran it, I would get some utility out of it. But still, even if it's better than I think, I don't think it's so much better than I think that it's better than High Alert. Because High Alert, I just always get utility.
High Alert's so good that it almost gets annoying because it goes off so often on the island. Like you're always getting a ping for it from somewhere. Like it almost annoys me at times. I'm like, okay, I know there's a guy over there. I get it.
Yeah. So the perk discussion's pretty simple. I think the biggest questions are on the basic perks front. And even then, it's kind of an inconsequential thing.
Yeah, for having 22 perks in this game, there are about 4 of them that are good.
Right.
There are 4 of them that are good, and there are 6 that are usable, and just about every other perk is almost useless. So yeah, there's not a whole lot for it. It is like if you're playing the big map or the island, it's pretty much the same with the perks you use too, because there's nothing interesting to use or try.
For the most part,
I agree. Like in Warzone 1, you'd run Quick Fix or something like that on like Rebirth, but you wouldn't run that on Caldera.
Exactly. There were definitely
more
differences.
changes. Yeah.
Yeah. And on the island, you would many people would run what was it called? What was Fast Hands called? The yellow perk.
Amped?
Yeah. On the island, you would run Amped, maybe, but on Caldera, you would run Combat Scout instead. Sometimes.
Exactly.
Too. So there were a lot of questions there. Yeah, those just don't exist in this game. What other question I was thinking, because I died, we got team wiped twice yesterday to fucking cluster mines. That dog shit kill streak.
God, they're so good.
They're fucking insane. And 2 times yesterday, I was the last one alive, waiting for the resurgence timer, just running for my little life. And I would have been fine in both situations were it not for the cluster mine in the next room that team wiped us because it killed me. And it got me thinking while doing the notes today, I wonder if I should be running spotter so that I don't do that. Because they're pretty common cluster mines on Ashika Island, annoyingly enough. I wonder if spotter would be worth it.
Well, no, because it's a bonus perk, right?
Exactly. No,
yeah,
because
so no.
It's a bonus
There's your
perk.
answer. No. It does work for them because a cluster is a kill streak.
Yes.
Yeah,
and
it works. Because I remember seeing those all the time on Ground War when you're using the launchers with spotter to get the camos and destroy shit. You'd see clusters all the time. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're very strong. Something happened to us when we were playing too, and I also died to a cluster. I was mid-fight or something, or I was chasing some guy in a room, and then his cluster goes off and fucking kills me as I'm trying to just fight someone. Yeah. Super frustrating. Those are so annoying compared to even a Claymore.
Oh yeah.
They're not quite as bad as early MW 2019 Claymores that would one tap you no matter what. It's not that annoying, but God, there's nothing you can do. Those suppression mines, oh my God, they're
also
frustrating.
Indestructible, dude. Jake and I were playing it again. I don't know why I keep repeating this, but yesterday, Jake and I were fighting this team, and we both saw there was a cluster mine in the next room. We both throw a Semtex on it so that it blows up before we go in the room. After 2 Semtex explosions, there are still cluster mines in there. So we walk in and we get our fucking plates broken. And we were both laughing at how absurd this is. How many things do I have to run a fucking Strela to kill cluster mines? It's completely insane.
Yeah, you have to, when you shoot them,
you have to mag them each one individually.
You have to shoot each one, and that's the issue with it. Yeah, if you shoot one, it should just trigger all of them and blow it up. Because that happened to me as well. It was on the island, and I shot 2 of them, and I was for some reason I didn't see anymore. So I'm okay, cool. I run over there, it goes off. Cool. I walk away, plate up, run back over there, it goes off again. Another one goes off. I'm dude, why? Yeah. Why?
It's dumb.
And they're just they're so hard to see at times. You're not looking at the ground paying attention to it. They're annoying.
If you happen to run by when the one you see isn't blinking, you won't see it. You'll only notice when they blink, and they don't blink super, super often. Yeah. It's once every second and a half. So yeah.
Yeah, they're they can be used good for you as well though. You can take advantage of those. Throw them in a house, any floor of a house, and it'll almost always down someone or get them one shot when they run in. Or squad wipe someone. Yeah, team wipe a whole group that runs in.
Happened to us again fucking twice. It was so annoying. So yeah, I would love to run spotter, which should be a base perk, by the way. It's base perk level utility.
Yeah, what is... Yeah.
It's not on the same level as Fast Hands or Restock. See, it's not that good. It should be a base perk, but it's not, so I can't justify dropping fucking Fast Hands to run spotter. So I guess I'll just continue to get farmed by cluster mines. But anyway, there you go. And then now we're going to get into a couple little miscellaneous things. Really, I only have 2 things to say here. Number 1 is the underground caverns on Ashika Island. So this is I don't know if caverns are the right word, but you guys know what I'm talking about. The underground area in the middle of the island that you can rappel down into, or you can swim into from the ravine. This spot, very often, no one is in this area, and therefore, very often it is unlooted, and therefore, it is the best spot in the game to regain. So if, for example, you're in a situation I described earlier where you're a dumb fuck and you hot dropped on Suki Castle and you're just jerking each other off. You're constantly wasting time. It's just you and one other team fighting by getting one kill, and then the guy parachutes in and lands on the castle again, and you're wasting time and you're in this loop. If you want to break the loop, here's what you do. All right, if you're still at castle, I'm letting you die. I'm going to the caverns, and then you're going to die, and then you can respawn on me. This is a great spot because, again, it has so much loot. It has so much, it's such a big area too, that even if it's been looted, not the whole thing, there's no way it's been looted. And also it's really good for regaining because if someone is in there, even though you don't have any gear or whatever, guess what else the underground cavern has?
A lot of water.
And
you have the advantage because you'll probably have a pistol and they
I'll
won't.
Have a pistol, I can actually shoot them if they chase me, so they're gonna get gapped by my P890. There's water everywhere. So at any point while you're looting, if you start getting shot at, oh no, I'm regaining, I have no gear. Doesn't matter. Jump in the water and you win.
Yeah.
You'll disappear.
That's true. Yeah.
I literally did it yesterday. We went underground into the caverns. Some guy started shooting me, or some team, I don't remember which. I just went in the water, swam underneath, and then I got to one of the openings to where you could climb up the ravine, and I was gone. See ya. Didn't kill me. I had nothing, and they had full loadout shit. Didn't matter. There's nowhere else in the game besides water where that's possible. So the combination of having a fuck ton of loot and the ability to just exit a fight without dying makes this an exceptional regain opportunity. And also, once you're done looting up, if no one's down there, which very often there isn't anyone down there, there are a bunch of rappel points that take you directly up to the actual overground map.
Around the castle.
They're everywhere because there's this underground area extends to so much of the map that you can rappel up to a buy station every single game, because maybe the top of that rappel doesn't have a buy, but the top of one of the other 4 has a buy. So once you're done looting, there will be a buy directly above you somewhere, and all you have to do is rappel right up to it, and you're right next to it.
Yeah, I guess I don't really know where most of the rappels are. I just figured they're around Castle because that's mostly where the area is under, the open area. But I've been under there, I think twice, and I've died both times. Because you're on the left side of the water, the left side of the railing, and you won't hear or see any guys on the other side because it's dark. And then they just start shooting you, and I'm dead before I can even react.
Yeah.
But the going in the water under there would be huge, much better even than anywhere else on the map. Because think, you're at Beach Club or something where it's bright outside, you still can't see anyone in the water. Down there in those caverns, it's dark.
Yeah.
Someone could be peeking out just sitting in the water with their head up, and you would barely see them because it's so dark.
Yeah. True.
So that'd be very strong down there. But yeah, you could come with those rappels anywhere. I know there's one that people use often that's right to the west of Castle.
Yeah, that's one of them. Mm-hmm.
People always go up that sucker.
There are 2, I think, west of Castle in separate little buildings.
Yeah, and I guess, you could even swim all the way out and then come out on the north side of the map between farms and residential too.
Yeah, you can go wherever you want, wherever there's a buy, basically. So yeah, you guys should be using this as your regain spot because you're guaranteed to get enough money. You're guaranteed to not die if you just jump in the water. And you're guaranteed to have easy access to a buy station once you have all your money. It's a great regain spot. You guys need to do it. Now, you could say, well, why don't you just drop here in the first place? That's a good question. Maybe we should try it. I think the problem there is that since it's so big, you'd have to spend a lot of time down there to get enough money. Because there's a lot of gear down there. I don't know if there's a lot of money down there. So I think that's probably why I wouldn't want to land there initially. But to regain, it's fantastic.
Yeah, interesting. Yeah, I've never been down there. I'll have to try it.
So keep that in mind. And then the last point kind of dovetails here. Use the goddamn water more. I mean, it happens every time I play Ashika Island. We will have some guy dead to rights. He'll get wet, and then we never kill him. It happens literally every single time I play the game. You should be that guy if you are in a pinch. If you get underwater, you will not die. I promise. Actually, you just won't. You need to be using it more because it's so effective. And other people are going to do it to you as well, so you might as well. Now, I would add, you shouldn't alter where you're dropping based on having an escape hatch, which is water, because other people can likewise do it to you if you drop there. So you don't want to do that. And also, that's too crazy. Don't do that. Don't change how you're playing just so you always can get fucking wet. But if you're in an area where there is water, or you sense that you're about to get pinched, run to the coast, get in the water, you'll be fine. And at the very least, especially on the island, you can use the water to run out the resurgence clock. So it's like you're on Beach Club or whatever, and they're all pushing you, and you're on the sand. You get in the water, there's 15 seconds for your teammates to come back. Okay, you're definitely dead if you don't get in the water. If you take cover, they're going to push you and kill you. But if you get in the water, you'll disappear, and at the very least, you'll get those 15 seconds for your teammates to respawn.
Yeah.
So just don't be afraid to get wet.
Yep. My only thing is, in the last patch they had talked about, they had buffed the underbarrel launchers. So we're like, oh, those may be worth running. We kind of talked about it on the patch notes. Tried it. Abysmal. Do not bother at all. The launcher, one time on some guy, I think it took 3 shots at his foot to kill him. So don't know how many it usually takes, how bomb squad affects it. Don't know anything other than it's not good and not at all worth running. It does help with the recoil control a little bit, it seemed, but because we were saying like, oh, maybe that's just better than running like a grip, and then you'd also get a launcher. Not worth it. Not at all worth it. Don't bother. I didn't try the shotgun one, but the actual grenade launcher really fucking sucks. There's also, they have to be a certain distance away. Like some guy was, 5-6 meters away. I figured, oh, it's COD. It made us explode. Shot it at his feet. Doesn't do anything. Another guy was probably 10 meters away. I shot it directly at his feet, and it did not one-shot him. He was still alive, and then he downed me. Because the other thing is, you can't immediately swap from like the grenade launcher to like your secondary gun. It makes you first go from the grenade launcher, you press swap weapon, then it pulls out the normal AR to fire bullets out of your AR. Then you have to press weapon swap button again to then pull out your SMG. Because I was thinking, oh, maybe I can fire a grenade, close range, bust out my SMG really quick, finish them off. No, it doesn't work in any way. Don't bother even trying it. It's terrible.
Yeah. That was a fun experiment. One thing I had been telling Tanner when we were talking about this, when he was trying it, is that it's still probably, if you're this guy, pretty fucking good in multiplayer. Because even though it takes a million
grenades,
piece
of shit, I'm sure it is.
With plates, without plates, it's probably a 1 grenade kill on non-bomb squad users. And it does now add recoil control, and there's no more movement penalty. So if you're playing multiplayer, it's still worth looking into using these underbarrels. But in Warzone they're not, which is not terribly surprising. But we wanted to try it anyway.
I mean, it honestly was surprising how bad it was. I thought at some point I would be able to one-tap somebody, but no. It also has so much drop and really, really poor velocity, just all across the board, not good, which is great for the game. I don't want everyone running around with them. But yeah, they were buffed. It's terrible. Don't bother trying it.
Yeah. I was going to try the underbarrel shotgun.
That we haven't tested.
But I'm thinking if the underbarrel launcher is that dog shit in Warzone, the shotgun's probably not good. I'd rather just swap to my secondary. So anyway.
Yep.
All right, boys and girls, that is it. Hope you enjoyed the program. We gave you guys some things to think about, some things to test, some things to try out. Let us know your thoughts, and if you actually do test any of these things out, or if you've already been doing them, of course, let us know in our Discord. Links everywhere. There is a feedback channel where we will take feedback, and we would appreciate it. Let us know what you guys thought. So that's it. We'll be back next week. Back to 2 episodes next week and beyond for the foreseeable future. Hope you enjoyed. We got a lot more Patreon episodes cooking up. So if you are excited for that, good for you. You'll be getting your bonus eps. And if you are wondering what the fuck that is, patreon.com/thedropshot. We do 5 bonus episodes a month. We do monthly hangouts. You get ad-free episodes and early access episodes as well. It is the best way to support the show. Patreon.com/thedropshot. Ton of extra bonus content for very little cost to you, and it's the best way to support us. So we appreciate everyone joining the Patreon. Do it now. Stay humble.
Stay humble.